this afternoon program, I didn't want it to be something that is one person speaks and then it's all about the person in front. But I created some, or not created, but I did something which I'll pass around, and I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna break you guys into groups of 3. I think that's a fair ratio. Where I'm gonna give you things that you guys are gonna read within your group, and then you'll assess and you're gonna give report of what you are reading there. All right, it's just a discussion point. So what we're talking about today is 15 paradoxes. That's just a general. 15 paradoxes. So what I've done, I found those paradoxes and then I tried to link them up to different instances in the Bible that speak to those paradoxes that you read, which will help to, open up the discussion. But what I want from you is, I want you guys to speak deeply about what you are reading, and it doesn't have to be limited to anything at all. Then that particular group will come through and share to us who don't know what that paradox is and speak about it, and then you guys can share whatever that you guys have found. And it sounds simple, sounds fine?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so maybe we should start with... The last one.
Wow, you guys are.
Are you guys done?
So
but I think for the interest of time, would it be distractive if they go?
Exactly.
No, they can see
Okay,
you.
but anyway.
Okay.
How
it's done.
Should have separated these twins.
For sure, or something.
Alright, can the twins and
Nana, Nico,
can you guys please come forward?
Can she represent your school man?
No, that's fine then.
Yes,
that's
go
fine.
So, what
Yes, stand here.
What do we do next time? Do we
present.
Oh, Luanda.
Round of applause.
Okay, Kat is not listening. Learn something. Kat is studying. Okay. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know much.
Yeah.
What's this again?
Couldn't read that.
You don't know squat.
You don't know squat. Oh.
Don't know Jack.
Okay, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know much. And then our verse was John 14, verse 8 to 18. And Philip asked Jesus, show us the Father. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know much. So Jesus responds to Philip by saying, you've been with me this long, and you ask me who the Father is. And this just goes to show you that no matter how much you learn, like in Bible, we were just discussing in our group, whenever you read a verse, like you can read the same verse you've been reading all your life. Every time you read it, something new comes up. So it just goes to show you, you actually don't know it much. Squats, basically. Because when Jesus answers Philip, he says to him, believe me when I say that I am in the Father, and that the Father is in me. Or at least believe on the evidence of the works themselves.
Yeah.
If I'll believe that I am the Father, believe on the works.
Yeah.
So the more you learn, honestly, is the more you realize, actually I don't know much. Because even after 3 years with God Himself, please show us the Father.
Yeah.
And He says, if you don't believe that I'm the Father, look at the works then. Let the works speak for themselves.
And you are still 18 years.
Oh yeah.
Please, it's a cheerleader at this table.
West side.
I think it's very critical to understand that we really have to be humble. When you're not humble enough to understand that you don't know something, you're almost limiting yourself to be exposed to learn more things. There's no harm in not knowing. And I think that's what people find themselves trapped in, that I don't know, but I don't know how to say it. And I think even you'll find this a lot in kids as well, that they want to know it, but they're so ashamed or afraid to speak up about something that they don't know about. And we can help to perpetuate an idea that it's okay, you know. You know, some teachers, I think, when people try to make you feel better, but there's no wrong or right answer, right? Because the idea of that statement is, let's open up that whatever you bring in could to some extent be a contribution to what you are doing or what we are discussing, what we are learning. And yeah, the only thing that stops you from that is literally your ego, nothing. Your ego is the one that limits you to say, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Yeah, I've been here, and etc. So that your ego must be suppressed to an extent so that you can be able to easily expose yourself to more knowledge, to more information. And and it's even crazy now that we live in a world where everything is here. You know, I know at Cat's Place there's a whole bookshelf of encyclopedias. And that's the old Google.
Yeah.
Right? That's the yellow card.
She came from
Yellow card. Yeah, so that encyclopedia being there, it's you can't exhaust it.
Yeah.
We couldn't exhaust it then. How much more now with Google and everything that we want to do? So yes, knowledge again is power, and yeah.
Can I ask?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so I just wanted to check, like, that in
Paradox.
the scenario, not a scenario.
Or the text.
The example that you made,
Yeah.
Uguti, there's no right or wrong. Like, how do you then move? Like, remember, we have been exposed to a certain upbringing.
Yeah.
How do you then shape yourself to create a space for Lavabaza to say, okay, lads, it's an open ground?
I think what I'll come answer the question. One thing I've told myself that I think when I was just, obviously I'm still growing, but I was like, I'm not gonna be the same man my dad was, as an example. I said, I'll take all the things that I prefer, that I see to be of good quality from my father, and demonstrate that. For instance, example, going back again to my family, my grandfather was in Makai, so in the rural areas. So the dynamics there are totally different from a metro, a metropolitan area. It's totally different. So my dad can take, and I've seen, he's taken some traits that he's learned from my grandfather, but he applies it in the context of where he is. So it doesn't mean that he's doing what his father did, because it's totally it's not accurate at all. But the principles that he has used is to govern his house the way he needs to govern, because you have to find your own beat, like you have to find your own rhythm in how you go about what you want to do. So you coming to I'm not saying break away from what you've been previously exposed, but it's your responsibility again to be humble enough to say, okay, I'm taking this part and I'm imparting it in this dynamic. For instance, if again they didn't take you for ice cream dates, you have girls, right? And you decide that every month I'm gonna take my girls as a father on a date, right? That is your story, that is your dynamic. But if someone else it won't match because there's a way in which you guys grew up. If you grew up tough and you did something soft, then it seems like a contradiction as well. But you still want to get to the final end as well in any case. So you need to create your own beats. You need to create your own rhythm, your own culture. Because even in the house that you're from, it's not the same as it was from your grandmother. The style and etc. is totally different. But when your grandmother would walk in the house where your father or your mom were, there's some things that she wouldn't feel detached from because she will see that there's still a pattern that has been passed down to them that they are still upholding. Such as in our case, Adventism, what we do and how we go about it. So that is not detached from them, but at the same time, it still keeps on going. So if you decide to live in Sandton or wherever, that doesn't, or country living or whatever the case might be, the point is not where you are. It's about what you want to do in your environment. I hope I've answered you.
No, you did.
Okay. All right, group 1.
The answer is yes.
Our paradox is the more you try to make people like you, the less they probably will. So we agree with that sentiment. In other words, people pleasing with them. And then we know that you can't please everyone. In fact, the more you try to please people, the more fake and you come across and you push them away. Our story is Peter's denial, and we know Peter to be Jesus' disciple, and people also thought he was Jesus' disciple. But when they asked him, he denied it. So it's that I want to be in everyone's good graces. There's a story about a guy in World War I. I don't know if anyone knows the setup, but they had these trenches, and they had this patch of land called no man's land. And you go there, you get shot. So this guy, wanting to go home, he's like, you know what? Let me get onto no man's land, but I'll wear the top, my top, but the pants, I'll wear the pants of the enemy, so no one will shoot me and he can run away. That's what he's thinking. So when my people see my top, they won't shoot me. When the enemy sees the pants, they won't shoot me, I can escape. What happens is that the enemy shoots his torso and his team shoots his legs because he's trying to play both sides, and that never really works out. So the more you try to stay on the fence, the less principle you come across, and you move further away from the thing you're trying to juggle, I think.
Lovely. The more you try to make people like you, the less likely that they will like you. And I think that is you said that was true. You agreed that you as a group agreed that is true. I think at the center of it, and I like the story. Don't mind if I put it on Spencer's piece. Just like Sorry, but it's very true that, in fact, even in relationships, or even if you're courting somebody, the guy that's always in your face is the guy that you're most probably not going to choose.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
Right? The guy that's more in your face, if they are trying to court you, is a guy that's going to be less likely to be courted by you. In fact, what society now has done, we compartmentalize people based on their social standing with us. Okay, so number one, you have family, right? And then from there you have friends, then you have acquaintances and etc. But anybody who tries to move closer to the family, the intimate part of you, and doesn't behave or correlate with some things that resonate with you, then most likely you put them in friend zones and etc. Because they are coming on. But the one who's scarce, the one who shows himself but is not there.
Mysterious.
Yeah, he's mysterious and he's in your face, but he's not there. You know.
You want the one that doesn't want you.
Yeah.
But that's how life works.
But the idea of you saying, Toby, you like the one that doesn't want you,
Yeah.
is also saying that you have the idea that he doesn't want you based on how he behaves towards you. So your immediate attraction is, how can I not be a commodity to this individual?
Yes.
Therefore, it works in a way that you create yourself and your world to be more attractive to this guy.
Yeah.
But he's already decided what he wants. He's already there. Yeah. He's made up his conclusion, but it's almost like luring you in to pull you towards himself. And it's true. So the idea of you being overly too much, especially with people, it doesn't work. Whether you're at the office, whether you are at school, whether the people that you are always in their face, trust me, they've placed you somewhere.
You're the cycle.
Yeah. They've placed you somewhere, right? So the question is, where do you want to be placed? Right. That's now your decision. Yes, Ba.
So can I ask, especially based on what we're trying to achieve here,
Yeah.
like trying to reach people, like I don't know how to say it. If species like nabantu, let me say, like people seem to be having a hard time coming back to church or whatever, and then it's as if we need to go out and remind them and follow up and whatever. But then with what the paradox that we've just read, that if we're too much, we'll come off as being desperate and then people will push us away.
They won't come.
So that's what I'm trying to get to. Shoot, now we must play coy, like, oh, you can come or don't come, whatever.
So
like, how do we do it now?
so one of the videos in my channel, which I feel it's called. I have a video that says push and pull strategy.
Okay.
Right. So a pull strategy is, like, for instance, if we're recording this thing somehow it lands on whatever social media and people see it, like, how can this is what happens here? Or they have a coffee looking type of place. Then it creates curiosity.
Yeah.
Right. So when you create curiosity, then people are intrigued to want to find out for themselves.
Yeah.
Because now they don't want to hear you saying this is like this. They want to see it themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. So you pushing forward for people to come, you are pushing them away.
Yeah.
So what you need to do, focus your energy a lot on building this thing to be so well that it brings people on its own.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I was thinking about this paradox, one of the things that popped up in my head is self-awareness and self-content.
Okay.
So if you are okay with the things that you believe in and you believe in them strongly, then you're not in a position to please other people who don't necessarily believe in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for the purposes to answer your question, I mean, today is a great day. And Tim was saying, if we almost, I just forget the word to use, but if we advertise too much,
Yeah.
we will lose this
Okay.
feeling.
Yeah.
So if we just believe this and we like this, we
And
keep
it's enough.
doing this, then the people who resonate with this thing will come to
find
this
that.
thing.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. So there are people who push, and when they push, yes, then the side effects and the dark side is you look too desperate.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to push this to my face?
Yeah.
An example, if we see it in life, but we just don't think about it. We are Hamba Manji, we are not. The guy that's pushing, buy this thing, do you buy it?
No.
Do you buy it? No, you don't buy it. Or am I salon? Exactly. But that woman, there's some guy who said, I think he used to be a rapper, Mumulimu. He's a farmer now. He followed his name. Yeah. He says, the the veggies you guys buy at Woolworths are the same veggies that they are sold in the streets. So now, why do you go to Woolworths versus the person in the street? Because Woolworths is not calling you. Woolworths is not saying come through. For crying out loud, Woolworths, even in their advertising, they don't say come to Woolworths. They just say we're the difference. Then you're like, difference, wow. Then you go. So that idea of why are they the difference when everybody, that means everybody else is the same. So rather let me be exclusive and go about it this way, because they are pulling you and you now are part of their market. Yeah.
People like exclusivity.
Exactly. But we know that life is not really fully exclusive. Yeah, because yeah.
So do we apply that to evangelism? Are we being exclusive in our evangelism? Also?
Yes, and the reason why you should apply that same principle in evangelism is in this way. The problem with Christianity and evangelism is that the Christians don't live what they say. So we expect people to come in numbers only for them to be just the way we are and life goes on. We are afraid to be robust, we're afraid to be different, we're afraid to be out of the ordinary, and therefore we want to be like everybody else so that everyone else comes. But Christ is not about the numbers. That's why Israel was a singular nation. He's not about the big numbers. He's about the principles, the ones that are going to be like, we are fully in. So if you are different, and as we are an Adventist church or we are different, that difference must shine the same way. Why are people drawn to Islam? It's growing exponentially. Why? Because those people don't change shade of who they are. But we change shades because we want to accommodate, and the creeping compromise pushes people away.
Okay, so our paper says, the more you force a relationship, the more likely you are to break
Break
up or it yourself. So we agree with it. And our the text that this is referring to is Luke 15 verse 29 to 31. It's the prodigal son's brother. So if you see how the story of the prodigal son moved, so I think he lived his life, came back, his dad was happy, oh yeah, he's back, gave him a ring, like heavily celebrated, right? And the brother, now put yourself in the brother's shoes, You're sitting there, you're watching all of this happen, and you're like, but like, this guy's never done anything like this for me. I've been chilling here, I've done everything to basically win over his father's heart, right? But this guy's never done this kind of thing for me. What's so special about this? About my brother, So he essentially, and his father says to him, but why are you touched, bro? Because you've had all of these things, like they've been at your disposal. This one was as good as dead. Why are you touched? And so you can imagine, Uti, now he probably first of all got some sort of resentment for his brother, and also even if with his father even if the relationship from his father's side is not strained, but now his relationship with his father, like from his side to his father, is probably now strained because he thinks my dad's got favorites. I'm not, So in essence, he was forcing some kind of relationship of sorts. No bye. And then you realize, no my means that don't get into it still. And I think what is the fact that first of all, don't force the unforceable. 1.1. Number 2, it's also a reflection of our relationship with God, because sometimes you sit and you think, I'm SDA, I go to church on Sabbath, I do this, I do that, I don't eat pork, I don't. But why are all these other people getting easy though? Why are they successful? Why? or umuntu who's been in the streets all their life, then they give their lives to God. Suddenly their lives start flourishing, and you're like, Jesus, but I was here the whole time. What do you mean? You know, we need to take this as a lesson that, first of all, you can't buy God's love. You can't buy God's blessings, and no, it's a gift. God gives you the gifts that He gives you, what He deems is sufficient for you, or what He thinks you would be able to handle, right? Not because He loves you any less, or it's more special. It's for you. What is for you will come to you at the time that it needs to come to you. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So, first of all, these twins are uncovered. Okay, so first of all, to add on to what you were saying, like allow them to not like you. Anyway, I actually want to sort of add on to what you're saying in that, because of something that I feel like I went through at some point where, you know, you finish, I think this was a struggle for me for a long time in my life, where it always felt like izinto happened late for me. For example, like in school, we all finished matric at the same time, and then getting into school happened later than everybody else. Then after school, it's work like is happening later for me, or flourishing or growing in my career is happening later, and things like that. So to that as well, Uguti, sometimes you look at other people or you look at your peers and you think, Kantimena, God, I've been here all along, and I've been so good, you know, I've done everything that you've asked me to do. I'm a good girl. Why am I not getting the blessings I feel I deserve?
Yeah.
But also, I think the lesson that I sort of picked up for myself is that I'm not you, and your journey and my journey are very different. And God's purpose for our lives is very different. And so, He's doing the things that He's doing for you for a reason. There's something He's trying to teach you that maybe I already know, or that I've already learned, or I've already gone through. There's no need for Him to teach me that. And there's something completely new that I need to learn in my journey. And the only way that He can maybe teach me is for me to actually see, why isn't Zenzega slow? Then that lesson, or that His purpose for me is then revealed. So just because the son, the prodigal son's brother, was feeling like the prodigal son is a favorite, and how because this guy just came back, he's been living his life, and you know, all of that, and like he's being celebrated for something, and I've been here the whole time. But he was sitting at home, maybe his own lessons were being learned and his own purpose for his life was being fulfilled. And the prodigal son's lessons were completely different to you know, the lessons or the purposes that he had in his life, according to what God wants for us. So it was such a difficult lesson for me to learn. I think one of the most difficult lessons for me to learn, because I've never been a bad person in my life.
Oh, bad. Hey.
Sorry, please read that paradox again.
The paradox is,
Please.
so I mustn't read it.
Read it out.
The more you force a relationship, the more likely you are to break it yourself. Tata dada.
Check.
Oh, you just wanted the.
I have a question. But
Oh, no, it's fine.
Who's on or in the floor?
the floor, they are saying here, I accept force. I think we all know when we turn too hard. I think we all know what that feels like. But I'm also worried that we might be insinuating that we mustn't speak out when we feel aggrieved. I'm trying to find out where that line is.
No, you definitely can speak out when you feel aggrieved, but forcing is a different story. Forcing is now you
Put me there. I want that.
yes.
Okay.
Kanti mina why ungangibeki la?
Okay.
Instead of saying, Dad, trying to understand Baba, uthini kahle kahle. Do I also have these same privileges? Like you know, help me to understand what's going on here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So again, don't force the unforceable.
What's his story?
Oh no, Rufuna. I wanted to just say, that's right. So let us develop a culture of doing things because we want to do them, not because we want to be rewarded. Okay. So if you can do that, I think who's one you can manage. Yeah, that's that. And then there was this other quotation tab, if you remember, I think this other lady said, we don't see things as they are, but we see things as we are. So, I won't unpack that. Moses, if you remember the story of Moses, Moses was God's servant, opened up the Red Sea, did whatever, but he still died. Yeah, so let's do things because we want to do them and we don't expect anything in return. So let me tell girl, iPhone, no man, that's cats don't do it.
But cat don't do it.
Yeah, listen.
Do it because you want to.
Because you really need
Because
an
you want
iPhone
to.
back.
Please.
iPhone
I'm
is
a
30,000.
card now. Yeah, with Valentine. I want everything back. I want teddy back. Just do it because you love it. You have to choose.
What's your question, ma?
Another question, I think I'm adding to the story that the prodigal son story.
Yeah.
There's an angle that Pastor Majola likes to take.
Okay.
Who's Pastor Mojo?
He's my man. Take it to my man. That's my man.
And he says the issue of the brother is not that he's not happy that his brother's back. It's that he's envious of the life his brother lived and still came back and still got to enjoy the privileges at home. And the issue now that we have is we want to play all the roles. We want to, and for some of us, we'll go out and never come back. That's the challenge we have. So for some, maybe we must be okay with playing a subordinate role that looks subordinate, but it saves us. It keeps us safe, you know. There's some of us who are going to play the pushers. Some of us are just cheerleaders for life. I think I'm one of those people. And I found that, and I'm thriving in it because that's my role. I am not up there jumping up and down. I'm here in the sun. And I think if we can all identify, we won't force things because we know where we start and stop. So if I'm subordinate, if I'm a co-star, I do this to this point. I push this one to be excellent. But without me, he can't do it. And to the world, they only see cats. It's fine, and it's okay. If they just see Pastor Machola, that's okay. I've done my job, you know? And maybe if we identify so that we don't compare ourselves with our friends. We'll say, at 30, they're married, they're doing this and this. If you know that this is my role, and I'm here, and I'm okay, and God has blessed me to excel in it, we won't have the issues of the other brother.
Lovely. It looks like group 3 had a much deeper paradox because yours was a shortcut, but I see gonna. But yeah, about the idea of forcing relationships. you can't be in the position of selling yourself too short for some small gain. So a lot of people do that. People sell themselves way too short in relationships because of what they project will be the benefit of that relationship. So that's why I say, don't get into a relationship or do things for a reward. But reciprocation is important nonetheless. But the reciprocation must happen genuinely and authentically, not from Wuti, I'm doing this thing and I'm waiting to withdraw at some point. Right? Because when you do that, you'll be frustrated in the relationship because the person is not doing what you want them to do. You'll be frustrated a lot because you keep on giving and you're thinking, expectation versus yes. So here's what you do, and then this is what they commit to.
Exactly.
And therefore you are now frustrated. We say this person, we are not compatible. We're sharing a marriage counseling. but I think it's important that it's the same thing at work. You're the one that runs around, you're doing this thing, you're picking all these things up, and these people are watching you. They're leveraging I don't want to say insecurity, but it's there where you go way beyond what you're supposed to do, and you're thinking that what, and then when it's time for you to reap, like, they don't even see what I do. So it's important to balance things out.